Hello, this is Chris Haskell from They Live by Film. For those that don't know us, Adam, Zach, and we built a podcast over the last 2 years that's a combination of film discussion from three very different perspectives, as well as industry interviews with the leaders in boutique Blu-ray and 4K community. We started with Dev Crocodile, but over time we've been lucky enough to speak with Arrow Video, Severin, Mondo Macabro, Vinegar Syndrome, Radiance, Indicator, most of the OCN partner labels. It's been a blast. You can find us wherever you podcast, and also actually recently as part of Someone's Favorite Production Podcast Network. We hope to see you online.
Hello there, and welcome back to The Disconnected. I'm here with Josh Schafer of Lunchmeat, which most people have probably recognized the name, seeing it, the company around doing wonderful VHS releases of some affiliated titles that are coming out through some other companies. Josh, thanks for doing this.
Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
Lunchmeat has been around for a long time now. For those that may not know what Lunchmeat is, can you share what the mission is behind Lunchmeat?
I started Lunchmeat 15 years ago, just about.
Jesus
as a zine,
God.
just talking about movies that weren't on videotape.
Right.
And it's grown from there. Just started with a zine, man. Just loving VHS tapes and being like, why is this not being talked about, you know? And just like loving tapes and finding weird movies through tapes, finding tapes in the wild. That was one of the original, things behind Lunchmeat, is that thrill.
Well, of course, at some point in this, we're going to discuss discovering tapes in the wild in 2024 and the state of collecting VHS and all that fun stuff. But with Lunchmeat, how did it go from a zine to releasing your own VHS, which is pretty damn cool?
I think it's just my friends around me at the time were releasing tapes, and I was like, I want to release some tapes, and just started doing it. And I realized it was a great way to work with films that I really adored and loved and wanted people to see, I think it just adheres to the message of keep feeding the VCR, put more movies on tape, tape over other bullshit with cool shit, and recirculate it, with that message. I don't know. I think it's just been a whole bit of a process. We do live shows and we did more magazines, and it's just doing everything you can, really. I think that's how it happened. We found ways to, like I said, work with the artists that we cared about, show the films, get them into people's homes, honor the artists that create them. So I think that's an important part of it.
One of the cool things with Lunchmeat is that it seems like you have relationships with a lot of the other distributors that are working in other formats nowadays, and a lot of those titles that we love are being released on VHS in super short runs, but they're titles that probably either never got VHS releases, or it's stuff coming out that people can be amazed to have on VHS again that probably hasn't seen circulation in literally 30 years on some of these titles.
Yeah, we just put a movie called No Resistance out on videotape since the first time since 94, I believe. It's this shot on video cyberpunk sci-fi action movie. It's amazing, and it's something that you would expect to see on tape. The way that it was just created, and there's a Blu-ray out from Saturn's Core. Shout out Saturn's Core, who we did the tape with, and it's distributed through OCN, which is Vinegar Syndrome. So, shot on video on Blu-ray, 2024. It is a thing.
Yeah, it is a thing. There are, probably 5 or 6 companies doing shot on video on Blu-ray in 24.
It's wonderful. It's fantastic. They're all doing fantastic work. I think there's so many movies out there that will never be discovered. So hopefully it inspires people to dig deeper and realize that there is this big cavernous obscurity, out there. And especially from the 90s with shot on video, people just never got distribution for their films and things like that, right? Because we're starting to run the gamut on a lot of genre film, right? With the works of, people like Vinegar Syndrome or, Visual Vengeance or Saturn's Core or whoever, putting that kind of stuff out.
I think that the worry about having some of these not out there is especially true for something like No Resistance that didn't come from like the New York scene, which had a lot of people propping it up. No Resistance was filmed in Texas and didn't have this giant upbringing. I mean, it had a big community support, but not like distributors knocking at the door ready to carry that on release day or anything.
Have you seen No Resistance?
I have loved the movie, and honestly, I think one of the best things about it is, like you just said, like the quote special effects in that movie. They kind of feel like they were made for tape, and
they definitely were.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, that's the medium, and I think some filmmakers embrace the medium, and some filmmakers just took it as that's what the status quo is because that's the budget you had to make a movie,
Right. And with something like No Resistance, the budget. That's what I find most charming. The budget on that was tiny, and that movie looks freaking amazing.
The world seems huge, right?
It does.
I think that's the essence of good filmmaking is it takes you to a different world, right? Or puts you into a different mindset, or there's believability. I just think it's amazing. That's why you should watch No Resistance, because it creates this incredible believability in this very ramshackle underground kind of post-apocalyptic world, know, and it's all shot on video in Texas in '94. So it's awesome.
A lot of people that watch and listen to my stuff are going to be probably looking at this title and going, "It's 2024, and we're talking about VHS." I've got Blu-ray and 4K behind me. It looks like you've got Blu-ray behind you. You don't?
No.
Oh. Those are thick cases.
I just want to put it out there that I'm not against Blu-ray or disc, or I'm not some kind of purist or some weird bullshit like that. I like tapes, and that's how I watch movies. And
I love the charm behind them, and that now I want to hear for those people that are going to ask why. What is the appeal behind tapes for you?
It's where my collection is. I've been collecting since I was 18 years old, over 20 years. I just always went for tapes and Blu-rays, and I appreciate a good restoration. I appreciate all the fine extras that are being produced. It's incredible, But to answer your question, I just buy movies on tape. I have for years, and I just am in the circles where I'm around people that have tapes, and it's how I watch my films. I stream too. I'm on Tubi, but there's a lot of films here that I'd like to watch over and over again, or have them ready in a library immediately. And I have a lot of tapes. That's what I've been collecting. And switching over to Blu-ray is I don't know. It just seems daunting and expensive. So,
it is. Mm-hmm. There's also a lot of films that are on tape that will likely never be on any other format. Just plain.
That's the essence of Lunchmeat back then. Is these aren't on DVD. Still to this day, the reviews in the flagship magazine or stuff that's not on disc probably won't be. But that's what we love. The stuff that's just not going to get mainstreamed in any way. It's not going to get airtime elsewhere. But I think honestly, with the culture rising, there's so many avenues that are discussing the culture that I think we get a really good spectrum of coverage on stuff, and we're finding all kinds of crazy stuff all the time. And, I think that's what's the best part is just people talking about it again, looking at the medium and being like, okay, well, what are the reasons? And showing them good reasons to look back to tape and be like, this is important, or this is cool. Or if you like low budget independent movies, shot on video stuff is endless, kind of,
Yeah, and then of course, the way people talk about shot on video stuff, there's the endless reputation of that it being schlocky horror, when in all reality, shot on video is just a format. It's not necessarily a genre anyways. So I really implore people, especially in 2024, if you've not taken a deep dive into any of these titles, some of these movies are genuinely amazing, and not only high quality, but inspiring. There's something about No Resistance. There's something about watching that movie that you can picture being in this office building in Texas in 1994 and go, God damn it, that would be the funnest week ever in my life to be a part of this.
Yes, and you can live right?
Exactly.
Third person, yes, I agree. I agree, man.
The discussion around tapes, no doubt, is going to be familiar for a lot of people because I think right now with this, I don't know, this weird era that we've been in the last few months, at least, of every major internet publication under the sun. Here's why physical media matters again and why we need to talk about it. And one of the things that a lot of these articles don't point out is also a problem with VHS. And I'm going to talk to you about it is the players. I mean, supporting hardware is one of the most important aspects of any of these hobbies. How do you feel about what we're facing in that in 2024 for tape specifically?
We've been trying to bring attention to it for a while. Without the players, you can't play the tapes.
Right.
And there's nobody around repairing them. And I think at this point, it's becoming more difficult for some areas of the country to find VCRs.
Oh, yeah.
And I think in some parts, it's a little more plentiful. I mean, it's like a crapshoot, we go to the Midwest and there's VCRs and things like that. But yes, I mean, what it does indicate is that, you need to take care of this VCR. And I think that's something that we're going to be pushing with Lunchmeat in this year is a couple releases, is just encouraging people to know more about their VCR and like how to clean it and take care of it, because otherwise tapes just become artifacts or trophies or something like that. I think the culture has gone into a place where people collect them as objects or artifacts, and I've always collected tapes to watch them and to have the footage. Or the material or whatever. Like I always appreciate the covers. I mean, how do you not?
Right.
But I mean, it was. And I'm not going to say I never bought a tape because I didn't love the cover. But I mean, when I was collecting tapes, I mean, I go for content, like what's on it,
And I mean, again, that all comes down to the players. That's the hardest part about seeing this because for some of these people that are either just discovering them or in the era where they've loved it for years. A bad player can make you spiral for a while.
Yeah, it'll kick people out, man. I hear it all the time. Like, oh man, my VCR broke. I just haven't gotten a new one. I'm like, yes, it's a tough one. You know what I mean? But it's fun, and I think if you really want to get a VCR and watch tapes, I mean, I see people that really want to, and that's just that's my lifestyle, I guess. I mean, I've always just watched tapes. So, yeah, man, you gotta have a VCR. Collecting tapes without a VCR, it's just, I love talking to those collectors because I think it's interesting that the love for VHS has gotten that far and how it kind of reticulates into not just media that you can watch, but media that you can collect and study and compare notes and stuff. And it's pretty interesting, right? How it's changed.
Right. And then, of course, I mean, the biggest part of tapes for a lot of us that are around our age are the nostalgia aspects of it. I mean, most of us grew up with this around home, around a flickering CRT TV that you can literally almost transport back into some of those nights as a kid and watching some of the foundational films for yourself. And now you can buy some of those tapes in pristine condition from companies like Lunchmeat and some other companies that are doing it as well. But it's astonishing that we're in the age of, go to a swap meet and see them basically discarded for free from some people. And then on other tapes, you're seeing them sold for $100 for some old out of print, rare, super, I can't find this anywhere else VHS tape, but again, without the players, this is a hard hobby to dive into right now.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if you're wanting to watch them, I'm glad people are talking about it more because it's really essential. I don't know. I think the only thing that we can do is just raise awareness and tell people how to buy the right VCRs, what to look for in VCRs, how to clean them yourself. Give them the skills and the tools to preserve them. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing with some publications. What we have been doing, but we're going to do more publications about it and a cool product that we're working on right now. So with Analog Mechanic. So there's a tease. There's something. Yeah.
I've been following Lunchmeat for quite some time, and one of the things that I remember that I first saw from you, it had to have been at least 5 years ago at this point, but there was a video that you put out about fixing tapes. There was something on YouTube, and I swear it it wasn't even that long. It was probably like an 8 or 9 minute video, and it was just I think you got a tape in that was damaged in transit or something like that, and you were showing how to repair that. Okay,
it was Tyler. No? It was my boy Tyler.
Okay, I swear.
He's like, I just made this video of myself. It's on my channel, but it's not me. It's Tyler. So like, it's so funny because he's still a close friend of mine too, and yeah, I just wanted a video out there of somebody fixing a tape, and I thought that was a really concise, good video on how to fix a tape. And he's like, yeah, go ahead, publish it. So, and it's been viewed a lot, so it's great.
That genuinely one of the first things I saw from Lunchmeat was that video, and
it's so funny.
That so sort of education, it's needed for stuff like this because we don't have. I mean, none of us can walk into like a local video store anymore and have them help you with something like that. And a lot of us, we had people like that were our resources when we were younger. So it's great to see you carrying on that tradition.
I think there's a culture of people rising up that are interested in that, that still love analog media and, that kind of bleeds into like film and, and just like kind of the machines that help you experience the analog media. Right. And I think that some people's brains just go towards that. And I think there'll be like, as the culture spreads, there'll be more and more people that get into it, hopefully, and become the people that can still work on these machines. It's not me. I'm not really good at working on VCRs. I know how to do the basics, basic stuff, but I mean, like, there's people that know a lot more than me, and we want to help publish the information. It's all out there. Like, you got to think about like how to repair VCRs and stuff, but the old guides, they're just so dense and like not really readable, like they are, and it's like, well, am I looking at the right VCR and all this other kind of stuff? So, but like just kind of getting that information again and putting it back out for like a new generation of VHS collector and VCR enthusiast or what have you, And I think like, man, somebody said VHS collector in writing the other day in a zine I'm reading, and they said VHS collector scum, and I was just like, holy shit.
Oh.
It was really like
yikes.
VHS collectors. It was hilarious. I don't know. It was funny to me. It's
a weird community to hate.
No, it's just funny, dude. It's just funny. But yeah, because I said VHS collector, but I think that people that like and watch VHS are VHS collectors, but it's not just VHS collectors. I think people just enjoy video, stuff on video. Right. And I think collecting can mean different things, like having like 2,000 or like having 10,
Right.
And it's the focus on like what you want to see on the tape, I think, or what you want the tape to be.
And again, a lot of these titles, they look different, not only quality wise, but there are things that we saw on some of these releases that you don't see in releases nowadays. I mean, some of them, you got certain cuts that are stuck on VHS that we'll probably never see the light of day again. You've got underground films that you'll never see on a better format. You've got titles that are, genuinely like now they're fought over on rights and we'll never see those released again. And you've got those stuck on VHS. So if you want to see certain things, that kind of is the way to go for many of these titles.
Absolutely. There's so much content on tape that is not anywhere else. Excuse me, like even when in the age of YouTube and archive.org and like that whole culture, right, of getting stuff and putting it online and making it available for people. And I think that's really awesome. Obviously, it's what my mission was with Lunchmeat, in a small way, is to get people looking at tapes again and looking at these cool movies that are only on tape, right? There's just so much out there that isn't, on the internet, and that's like it's the stuff that becomes more special, And I think even if it is on the internet, finding it on tape and getting to know it that way is still like a cool experience. I mean, I would say it's damn cooler than just clicking on a link and watching it, like finding it and being like, what is this? And going home and playing it and experiencing it,
I don't know if you're the same as me, but there are so many times that I can look back on going to a thrift shop or something and seeing a bunch of VHS tapes, and the ones with labels, sure, most of them are, Titanic or Jerry Maguire or whatever that was popular around that time. I always go for the ones that are unlabeled, and those things are a treasure trove sometimes. And to find like a full broadcast of a Sunday night on ABC from 1991 is transformative. I love doing stuff like that.
Yeah, those are great tapes. I mean, those are the kind of stuff I'm talking about. So I'm glad you brought it up. It's beyond like narrative film or docs or even art films or whatever. It's our culture. Like it's like you said, television recorded. Stuff broadcast from HBO. Have you seen that documentary that we put on tape called Recorder, Marion Stokes project?
I have not yet. No.
Okay. This woman in Philadelphia was taping television for like decades.
That's her name. Okay. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But imagine how much stuff is there, right? And
Right.
they have it and they're trying to upload it to archive. I think there's an effort that's still going to do that. But yeah, I mean, like you find Saturday morning cartoon block or, like MTV at like 3:30 on a Saturday. You know what I mean? Like you find these recordings and it's cool that it's captured,
Right.
So you can go back to it. Those are great tapes, and those are kind of like invaluable. And what I was talking about, like it expands the importance of like what VHS does and like what did and what it continues to do. So, yeah.
I love this, man. There's so much about this that is just important that doesn't get discussed enough. And lost media is such a rabbit hole. If you're watching this and you've never looked into lost media, there are so many efforts to find certain things that people know exist that they can assume somebody probably recorded it, and they're like looking for a copy desperately. There was every single year, like a couple of years ago, there was a Sesame Street episode that was lost or something that just got discovered and placed online. Oh, yeah. That sort of thing is like, man, this is amazing. We're literally going back to a period of culture that we knew existed because we read about it, but nobody had proof. And now here you go. Like that's amazing to be able to discover something like that.
Yeah, I think it's really, really important, right? And it's all because of the media that's there, the physical media, and you wonder if, 40 years in the future now, like 38 years in the future from now, like how are people going to recover things like that? Is it still going to be there? Is that information going to be, where is it? You know what I mean? And I think the physicality of the analog and everything is it's important. It's cool. I mean, there's so many aspects, dude. It's like there's always different angles, right? Like what, like nostalgia or film preservation, or I like the aesthetics of it, or A, B, and C, and more, right? For me, it's just about like this is how I watch movies. Like this is
literally
so like that sounds crazy, but
it doesn't. No, for somebody that doesn't understand it, I get how it would be crazy, but literally taking the tape out of a sleeve and being like, "Oh, gotta rewind it." That ritual of it is special. It feels like being 12 again for me. It feels like something where you are literally going back and living what you've done for watching cinema for all these years. It's amazing.
Yeah, it still works. And I'm still finding new stuff.
Right.
30 years later. And it's just cool. Yeah, it's just cool, man. I don't know. That's why I keep on it. And like the stuff, like you said earlier, the stuff that we put out, putting stuff on tape. I mean, we do it because we just want people to watch tapes. And we think that these movies look cool on tape, or like it benefits the film in some way. That like the VHS presentation is just like, here's this thing on VHS. Right. It's like, this thing should be on tape, and that's kind of what we think about when we sign and release stuff.
Well, and the big thing for a lot of us that are into any sort of physical media nowadays is there's a massive parallel here. Anything that's happened with VHS is likely to happen with discs as well. The fact that we have to deal with, worrying about mold if it's not carried right for years. We have to worry about hardware not being developed after so many periods of time. We have to worry about things being phased out from everywhere and then not developing it. Then you have to worry about the people that are going to look down and shame on it and go, why the hell are you watching discs in 2050 when you can have the hard drive implanted into your brain or whatever?
Like, why are you... Why are you watching those DVDs? What? Yeah. Incompatibility, of the future for media and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know. I'm not really a tech head, Ryan. I couldn't tell you, but I mean, I do know what my nostalgia is, and I know that like I see it a lot. I see a lot of places, you know?
Yeah.
I think tapes are just such an icon of that era that nostalgia is going towards. And, you know, we're all media crazy, fed media constantly. And like, you want to at least have some comforting media,
right?
At least have something that you really like, you know, and just watching it on tape is cool. It just feels better to me. I don't know, but it's just like a personal, I always thought it was just like a personal preference. And I was like, oh yeah, these movies are only on tape, so you should borrow this tape. And then all of a sudden, like over the next decade, 15 years, it's crazy. It's wild, man.
Yeah. The other side of that, I mean, everybody seems to want to foist this move to streaming on other people that don't necessarily want it, not even thinking about that accessibility dictates there are many people that still in 2024 can't stream properly, whether that's access to internet in their home city, whether that's a barrier of entry due to cost or hardware limitations based on the street they live on. Mm-hmm. There's all kinds of reasons that can make this impossible. But if somebody, you know, if my grandma, who's 73 or whatever, has a collection of 2,000 tapes that she's amassed over the last 35 years, she can't be expected to go upgrade those all to discs or to streaming and suddenly pay every month for the same movie she's always had.
Yeah, see, I'm like your grandma, because you ask me, like, why haven't I switched over? Like, there's no point to switch over. Like, right. That sounds insane, right? I mean, like, that's kind of what Strawberry Mansion's about. Have you seen that movie?
I have, actually, yeah.
Yeah, and how she doesn't switch to the air thing.
Yep.
That's exactly what we're talking about, right?
And that's a beautiful movie.
Yeah, the movie's beautiful. But yeah, man, I don't know. You were saying about before. Sorry, I got Strawberry Mansion on my brain.
No, that's it. I'm just talking about accessibility. One the physical side of it.
Accessibility is such a good point, you know. And I did an interview recently, and they were like, "Why do you think people still watch VHS tapes?" And I'm like, "Well, let it be known, people have always watched VHS tapes since they've come out until right now. There's never a time where people weren't watching."
The dark age of 2003, there was no tape watching.
Like none. And there was a drought. But I think it was that sort of accessibility that you're talking about. You know, because it's a very easy, viable piece of media that has a lot of, you know, recognizable film and material on it. You know, I don't know. And I think it's good that people would think about that, about the accessibility thing and why tapes are viable that way. You never really think about, you know, probably wouldn't think about that normally, right?
Right.
But totally valid and cool. So.
One thing that people that watch this seem to love is the educational side of things. So if you don't mind, I would love to see if you've got some basal education on some of this. And one big thing, what's like the go-to sturdy brand of VHS player that you recommend people to keep an eye out for in 2024?
Panasonic OmniVision.
Just
OmniVisions are very, you know, a high-grade consumer machine. They always work well for me. Panasonics are nice. Sony's are nice. Sometimes they crap out on me. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Panasonic OmniVisions out there. You know, from the early 90s and mid 90s. That's what I have. I have 2 of those, and I have like 8 VCRs, but you know it. But, no,
you had any crap out on you in the last decade?
Those are really sturdy machines. You know, it's getting expensive out there to find.
Yeah.
If you're trying to buy a VCR online, forget about it. Jeez. It's like,
yeah.
I got an ad today from Amazon with a VCR on it. And I was like, oh, here's a very targeted, interesting ad from Amazon.
Right.
And I clicked on it, and it was a disc to tape, you know, DVD VCR. $569.
Holy shit.
And I was just like, what? What? So, yes, I would go, you know, out to your local Goodwill and pay, like, if you're like, oh, $35 for a VCR. Like, sure, you can find it for 12. You can find it for like 12. But if it's $35 and it works, I would buy it, you know? Because somebody's trying to sell a VCR on Amazon brand new with a DVD player for $549. And it is laughable, but it's also like market, man.
Right. That's a good point. And
so it's market. And
I mean, there's some of these titles too that people are trying to offload for hundreds and hundreds of dollars that are not like the ones that got super limited releases upon release either. They're just titles that people are trying to exploit nowadays. So if you're going to start looking into them,
titles get hot.
Yeah,
titles get hot, and people. That's a collecting aspect that I think about.
Of course,
and I'm not like that. Like, I don't chase like those tapes like that. I just go for content or like movies I've never seen, but they out there, street trash, Frankenhooker, people want those tapes, and they're not necessarily rare, I mean, they're not like, it's not like there's like 50 of them out there,
That's what I always laugh at. Some of these had hundreds of thousands of copies, and
yes,
they're still sought after. Like there was only 12 of them ever made,
but they're coveted now. So it's like, right. You know what I mean? And you got to think how many like those were just sent to video stores. So and very little like otherwise. So you got to think what happened to them. They might get destroyed, or I mean, a lot of people throw those tapes away. To be honest with you, they tried to sell them. And if they didn't sell, it's throw away. So, who knows? And it's all about people's taste, like what people want or what they feel is hot, or like So,
with buying tapes, are there certain things that if you are new to looking at tapes, you recommend everybody to get to learn to look out for quickly?
Just don't overpay for a tape. But if somebody's trying to get into tapes, like buying them online or like just in general, is that what you're asking me? Like advice on that?
Sure. But the big thing, like, trying to teach people how to look out for mold. A lot of people don't even know what that looks like on VHS.
Oh, yeah. There's pictures of it online. It's pretty recognizable. You take it out and you look at the reels, and if there's like white powdery substance on the tape itself, it's mold, and you have to assess it. Don't put it in your VCR. It's no good. It's dirt, Yeah. Like you're putting like literal dirt on your heads, which is no good. So, definitely watch out for mold. I don't know. Buy stuff that interests you, even if you think it's like, stupid or whatever. Like, you never know, man. Like, I'm at the point where, like, I hunt and find horror movies and stuff like 10, 12, 7, 8 years ago, whatever. And now I buy, like, Sewing with Nancy. Not Sewing with Nancy. I know what Sewing with Nancy is. But, like, that vibe,
Right.
Like, Jim Valvich, like, fucking bass fishing. Like, I want to watch what's on here. I just want to see what's going on. Especially if it's not on YouTube, right? Because you look it up and you're like, oh, well, this is... You look on archive, it's like, oh, well, here's an obscure thing that, and it's like $1,
Right.
And I watch it, and I think if it's cool, I'll like capture it. But if not, it's like, well, no, it can't all be zingers, That's why I still collect videos, because I'm interested in that kind of thing. Just always finding new material, stuff that people put together, new films, new everything, new to me. So, but like a vision back in time, I probably sound crazy on this thing.
Not at all. I'm sure some people watching after hearing that, though, want to hear some of the best stuff that you found over the last couple of years. What are some of your big finds lately?
I like finding weddings. Those are fun. Nothing too outstanding, but I found a tape called VCR Repair for Brother Nick, and it's a video letter. And this guy owns a TV VCR repair shop. I think it's like 94, 95. And he does a video and shows them how to repair a VCR, change some stuff inside of it. You know what I mean? The bands and clean the reels or clean the heads and all that kind of stuff. I was like, wow, this is really useful. That's really cool. It's neat. And then it turns into him on a keyboard talking to him, and he just like starts like talking to him, and he's like, hey, hey brother, like it's just like it's a slice of life. It's like a video letter, man. But then he gets into a flight simulator that he has in his house apparently. It's just it's amazing. I love that find. But he's so sweet. He's like an older guy. And he plays like, I don't know. There's a lot of like cool human moments inside of it.
Right.
Love that. Oh, Simpsons Halloween '96. I just got that from a buddy.
Nice.
Pretty cool. And the '96 season opener. That's probably somewhere, but I mean, I have the tape here, right? That's like, just watch it whenever I want. You know?
Right.
Recently dove back into Magic Island, this movie, but only the screener, because I there's some like cool footage on that. And I just got that scene in my head again where like he climbs up the tree and like there's the sand shark and it's like a pizza tree. Do you remember this? Do you know this?
Don't.
Yeah, now it definitely sounds insane, but this is a real movie. It starts Zachary Ty Bryan, and there's a scene where like he goes up a tree that grows pizza and there's like a sand shark and he like feeds it gum and escapes it. And it's like this really fever dream kind of scene. And so I revisited Magic Island and it's actually pretty good. It's pretty fun.
We could start discussing Strawberry Mansion. That'll sound crazy to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful film, man. I'd like to put that back on tape. I should reach out to them.
It's a good movie. People should check it out. There's a tape monster in it that's really cool looking, actually.
A lot of cool stuff in that movie. That movie turns up, man. It's crazy.
I love that the two movies that you randomly brought up tonight are ones that I actually know and have seen recently. That's super rare for me.
Oh, that's great. It's fantastic.
When people are out looking for tapes, I'm sure that people are hoping that they found something super rare. And of course, I got to ask, what are some of the ones that you have that have like the least amount of it's been out in circulation, perhaps? What's the most rare things that you've got?
Like the least circulated tapes?
Yeah.
Well, that I know of, America's Deadliest Home Video.
Nice.
I have a copy of Slaughterville. There's some others that I have that I think are really low. You know what I mean? But, you know, like this tape called Wonder Guy. I don't know how many copies of that are out there. But yeah, stuff like that.
With Lunchmeat, you've put out tons of titles over the years. Do you know about how many offhand?
I just did this, but I would say like 150 more.
Sounds
more
about
than
right.
That. Yeah.
So, as somebody that has grown up around this myself, just like you, I look at somebody that's done what you've done and can't help but think, I bet that you put some of these out and you go, this feels really good to literally release this title. What's a couple titles that you've released that you go, like, I'm contributing something. I'm so glad that I was able to put this out.
That's a great question. I mean, a little bit on all of them, right?
Yeah,
but if you're talking about like favorites and really happy when I did Video Violence because that was a movie I watched growing up. And my
big
team
deal.
got to meet Gary and work with him and becomes friends with him, which is always really, really cool. America's Deadliest Home Video. Like I said, that's a rare tape. There's like less than 100 of them out there, and I got that on to DVD for the first time and put it back out on tape, and that's got a life past my releases now, so that was great. I don't know. All kinds of stuff, man. Like the thing is just connecting with people, you know? Like I loved working with Albert on Strawberry Mansion. Thought it was great.
Yeah.
I love the Frogman dudes. I just did Frogman. Those guys are awesome, dude. I'm forgetting a bunch of people. That's why I try not to do singles. I work with so many great people. Right. I just like getting people's art out there and using VHS as a format to get it out there. Because certain people connect with it, and when your artistry kind of connects with the vibe or the feeling of VHS that gives people, if it's like coheres and there's a synergy there, like I think that's even better. Like that's what I'm talking about. Like
right.
Watching old SOV movies on tape, because you're watching if you're watching on Blu-ray, it's gonna look exactly the same, dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like not exactly the same, but you know what I mean. But yeah. Sorry.
I'm all about it too. I literally the name of the channel is Disc Connected because that community, the group of people that surround us and go, you know what, I feel the exact same way. That's what I love. And watching Lunchmeat from afar has always been just so rad to think that there's somebody out there that loves this so much. And then you go out and do all these events. Like there's all kinds of stuff that Lunchmeat has done. Can you share like some of the events that you guys do?
Yeah. I started doing a lot of tape swaps, I guess like 10 years ago, with Matt D of Harboobs up in New York. And then we were doing Cinema Wasteland for a while. Just going there, right, and pushing the VHS stuff.
Evangelizing.
Yeah, singing the praises of tape. Then I started doing my own shows more in Philly. And then we started doing VHS Fest, which has really grown. It's probably the largest thing that we do, you know. Mahoning Drive-In, just the best VHS Fest. It's just, I want to create places for the people that love the culture to go, you know, and see cool movies. Yeah. The online camaraderie and sharing pictures and information and, you know, helping people find the tapes they want and all that kind of stuff. I think that's awesome. You know, I love that that part of the culture. I also think it's important to meet people in person and experience things with them. You know, I think that's what VHS Fest has become, is just like come meet some people that like the same kind of stuff you do. And like, you know, it's cool. Yeah. It's like Tapehead Woodstock or something. I don't know.
I completely agree with you. There's something different about, you know, even like, I hate to say it, but like social media comment sections can get toxic really fast about a lot of this shit. But hanging out with people in person and being like, let's watch this, and literally go through the option of put this into the player and sit and like commune around what we all love to do, it makes it so much different. It makes it so much more special. Yeah.
I think a lot of people at VHS Fest are just, I don't know, man, just having a great time. Like, it's just a great time. It's like, it's been hitting, and we're so glad to be able to be a part of it and you know, help found it. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, I do tons of stuff still. I still do screenings. I go out and, you know, put my tapes out and, you know, show some weird stuff around Raleigh and North Carolina. I do some shows in Durham, which is right outside of Raleigh in North Carolina. That's where I'm at right now. And but over the years, yeah, tons of tape swaps. That's severed, because that's what was going on before VHS Fest is severed. And I mean, it's just been friends hanging out. They're like weird movies and are weirdos, you know, and still watch tapes and have this appreciation for this analog aesthetic, for this, you know, this video aesthetic, where it's all this beautiful like packaging and, you know, putting out all these strange movies with all these weird backstories, and, you know, that goes very deep. You know, yeah. Tape has everything. Tape is the gateway to everything, you know, because we have to take from tape in order to create the Blu-rays and all the streaming and all this stuff, you know, unless it's new. But I'm saying for old cinema, I mean, it's just film and tape, right? So
VHS Fest, what year is this again? It's
I think we're going into like 8, right?
Okay.
Is it 8?
Something like that. I couldn't remember if it was 7 or 8.
I should know. I should have no. I should know. I shouldn't have any doubt whatsoever. But I mean, it's pretty sure it's 8.
It's one of those things last year when it got announced, and just seeing everything that was going to happen. I don't know that I was jealous of anything else as much as I was to not be able to hang out there last year. It was such an intriguing lineup, and I had Ross on my show last year from Saturn's Core right before it happened, and just some of the stuff that we were talking about. Ross is just a great person.
Ross is like he's like such a great dude, like a cool friend, and he's also so knowledgeable, man, and just super smart, and like just love Ross, a lot of love, you know. He's done so much great work, man, and I'm just happy that, you know, that's why I brought him on to VHS Fest and everything after a couple of years in, because I just felt like I wanted his kind of knowledge and presence there, you know, because I thought that was important. So,
I mean, this seems like an obvious question, but as you're running Lunchmeat, there's got to be some wish list titles. What do you wish that you could put out?
I don't know, man. I think I just want to rattle stuff off, and I don't, you know, I'm like thinking about it too hard now.
I've been there. Don't worry. It's okay.
Honestly, dude, I would love to and this is one that just popped in my head the other day. I would love to do Begotten again on tape. Because that's just awesome. Apparently it goes for a lot of money right now. And I'm like, you need to watch that on tape for sure. That's how I watched it.
Yeah.
And, but I would do it with silver embossing and stuff, go all out. I don't know. This is just a pipe dream right now, but I can do it. If I go for it. I'm really happy to put out Frogman. I love Frogman. So sick. There's some movies that I wish I could put out though that it's never gonna. I don't know if it can happen.
Of course. Unfortunately, that's how it goes.
Yeah, I mean that's because I want to do it right. I know a lot of people are just putting stuff on tape and don't worry about licensing or rights, and they're gonna do that. But I mean, I like doing it right, man. I like doing it, the way it should be done, and try to honor the artist and
right.
All the licenses and shit. It's makes it feel more real, I guess. And it's done right, and everybody gets their due credit. So
I don't know if it's just me, but I can say that for me it feels differently going with somebody like Lunchmeat that you can tell does the right thing and licenses everything and makes the deals, and getting some random ass what is basically just a blank tape with the sometimes it's like a color deck slapped on there, but when you get that it just doesn't feel good. There's something missing there, and it's quite obvious.
Yeah, I always wonder. I mean, I've seen some unofficial bootleg editions out there of people doing great work. It looks awesome. The artwork looks great, and it's a really cool release, but it's not. I don't know. I think it's all viable. Or not viable, but I think it's all it's all part of the culture. Whether you like it or not, and it's going to influence what's going to happen and the way it's seen in the future. So
especially with tapes, that was a big part of it in the '90s too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, those aren't usually the stuff that gets booted. There are titles that I won't go after. But
that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to put out cool movies on tape, man. And I think it's awesome that people still buy them and watch them.
Right.
And world's expensive. Life's expensive. I sell a very non-essential good, so it makes me happy that people want to support it and that people still want to watch shit on tape and believe in it. And because it was just something I was really into in my early 20s. I was passionate about it. I still am. And it's just cool that doing a zine has brought so much happiness to me and to other people, and has kept films alive and has uncovered films that probably wouldn't come out or otherwise, Yeah. Those are all cool feelings, after doing it for 15 years. So
I agree. Well, I mean, what's the future hold after doing that for 15 years? What's coming up soon for Lunchmeat?
Oh, probably a bunch of weird stuff. I'm putting, I did a joke book that I'll be releasing soon.
Nice.
I don't even know where this came from, but I just love those 101 joke books from when I was a kid, and I started writing.
Joke books were huge in the mid-90s.
These are the best, dude. Those had to get one. Had to get 5. So that's the idea. It's called Home Video Humor: 101 Ridiculous Rewind Inclined Funnies.
That is a great title.
It's all dad jokes and bad puns, but it's all based on VHS and VCRs and video stores. It's ridiculous.
That sounds amazing.
The first 75 jokes were easy, and then the last 26, I was just it's so hard, dude. So that's coming out. More VHS releases. We're trying to do some more books, more of the VH same. But I think we're always going to be expanding and trying new stuff and trying to get the culture out there, and however people want to listen. We need to do more of the video stuff, It's ironic. We don't do too much video other than putting it in the VCR, so.
Well, and Lunchmeat has been on the forefront with a lot of things, with home video horrors and video vortex and Stuck on VHS. That was a big deal for a while. I don't think that's in print anymore either, is it?
No, we're trying to bring it back soon, though.
That's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Video Vortex and Home Video Horror, anything on the horizon for either of those that you want to share or tell people what they are?
So Video Vortex I don't work with anymore. That is actually the reason I moved to Raleigh, is to come down here and kind of open and build that video store for Alamo, that brand really. And after it was going really well, it was cool. It was a really cool video store. It had like 70,000 titles plus to rent for free. And after pandemic, it kind of just never got invited back, so I kind of just moved on, right? Yeah. But it's still there, and you can still rent 70,000 titles for free if you're in Raleigh, North Carolina at Video Vortex. So that's the news on that. And then Home Video Horror is just a lot of fun with my friend Jackie Lawrence. Such a fantastic photographer. I love going over ideas with him and coming up with shots and picking the movies. I think we want to do a book at some point, right? Because I think we have like 70 some pictures now.
Yeah. Real nice coffee table book.
Yeah. Like use the pictures, but then have us write reviews or talk about films that are something. Maybe we'll do that in the future. I just think that the photography is way too cool to just like, it should be collected.
I agree.
We'll keep doing calendars. We're trying to do more with Stuck on VHS. Like I said, it should be in print, so we're trying to bring it back into print.
Awesome. I will try to share if that comes out and let everybody know that's back, because I don't even have a copy of it. I'd love to have a copy of that.
Cool.
All right, Josh. Well, thanks for hanging out today. Hopefully this has been interesting and helped in somewhat. I hope people out there will take a look, because, again, the accessibility and the idea behind it is so important. And for people that are into any sort of physical media, again, this isn't, there's parallels everywhere. Anything surrounding VHS can and will happen to any other format. So it's important to keep that in mind and not repeat history in a way where we forget where our forefathers of physical formats came from.
That was beautiful, man.
Well, again, thanks, Josh. Everybody check out Lunchmeat. All the links will be in the description below.
I appreciate it.
We'll see you next time.
If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror. We'll cover all the subgenres. So join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Thank you for listening to the Disconnected Podcast. There's one big thing that you could do to help the show, and that is to leave a rating and review on the podcast service of your choice. Thank you.
Hello! This is Matt.
And Emily from Scarecrow Video in Seattle, Washington. Did you know that we have the largest video collection in the world? We have over 146,000 titles and growing. That's over 3 times more than Netflix, Amazon, Max, and Hulu combined.
Plus, Scarecrow now offers rent-by-mail service throughout the U.S., so check out scarecrowvideo.org for details. You can catch Emily and I, or Matt and I, if that was going to be you saying that, on our bi-weekly YouTube show, Viva Physical Media, for video recommendations and so much more.
See ya!
Bye!